Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, September 15th. Just going to run through the morning charts. You can see yesterday we had a similar price action to the day before. If you just look in here, they pretty much went inverse to each other. And I was expecting to get, if we broke to a new high, we'd get a more or less a blow off top, which means we break to a new high and we see a surge of buyers pop in, and then we'd see it flatline, which is exactly what it did. For the remainder of the day, we saw a nice break to a new high, and then it pretty much flatlined. This morning it's coming in again. It's just it's trading within yesterday afternoon's high and low range, and I have a feeling we might get one more squeeze higher here, and this is what I want. I really want to see another quick push up this morning, and I'd like to actually take a short position, and just a small short position, and hopefully catch a nice sharp reversal to the downside. This is starting to be a very crowded trade. A lot of people are long gold, and majority are, and because it broke to a new high, we saw a big surge on volume of people flooding in. So let's just pull in the daily and intraday chart. You can see, of course, I've gone over this several times, but it's pretty straightforward. Let me just pull it up here. You can see whenever we break to a new high, we made a new high over here and it sold down, and then we broke this previous high over here and it sold down. We made another high. Here we had just a push up, but it tried to make a high and then it sold down. And once you see that type of price action forming, then you know there's distribution. There's big guys unloading large amounts there. So if we take a look over here, you can see yesterday we pushed above the previous high over here, and right this morning it's pulling back a little bit, but I still think we're going to get another squeeze up. But more or less, I think it's a good short up here, and I think we could easily correct back down to the 1250, 1252 area. And so we're just going to keep an eye there. If we look at the intraday chart, go to the 60-minute, you can pretty much see, I'll just zoom out a bit, you can see the nice volume surge, and you can see every time a high was broken, once this previous high was broken, there was a surge up. Every time a high is broken, we're going to get people piling in, so you'll get a surge. So each time you break a new high, we get a surge, and then we hit an all-time high here, and it got a nice pop. And of course, I mentioned it in the morning video, showing this how it was starting to curve and go parabolic right in here. And of course, I was saying that usually you get the biggest move right near the end, which we did. We got the new high, and now it's more or less pulling back into a bull flag pattern here on lighter volume. There's a little bit of selling coming in now, but more or less it's just breaking these lows. It's just shaking people out, I would think, before it does one more spike high. So that's what I see in gold right now. Similar for silver. Silver trades a little more volatile. It shakes around quite a bit, but I still feel as though they're both going to have a decent pullback. I'm not saying it's a reversal for a long term. I'm just thinking we're going to see a possible 4 or 5% correction real quick, and then I'd like to actually go long, most likely, depending on how the volume looks. So if I pull up I'm going to pull up the dollar and crude oil chart, which I posted last night, yesterday afternoon. Top chart is the US dollar. It's a 60-minute chart. Bottom chart is crude oil, and it's a 60-minute. You can see how they pretty much mirror each other. And as the US dollar came down, it helps lift oil. And then I pointed out yesterday that oil had a sharp reversal and the dollar didn't yet, and I figured that was pretty much the bottom for the dollar for a short-term bounce. And of course, we got a nice lift last night right up into resistance where I pointed out on the chart. Anyways, as the dollar went up this morning, we're seeing continued pressure in oil. Now if I zoom out on this oil chart and I go to the daily view, you can see this resistance trend line where I mentioned it was kissing. And if I go back to the 60-minute chart, you can see even though the US dollar continued, let me just grab an arrow, continued to come down this entire time, once oil hit that resistance line, it pretty much flatlined. Even though the dollar kept coming down, there was a lot of resistance there because a lot of people are following that trend line. Anyways, we got a couple pierces of it as the market tried to shake people in to go long or get out of their shorts, and then finally we saw a reversal down, and it's continued to trend down. And right now it's sitting at a support trend line from earlier on in the chart. If I zoom out, it's tough to see these lines, but just connecting these dots here, or more or less. Yeah, there's a wedge there, and it's sitting on the top of that line. So I have a feeling we're going to find some support there today. US dollar is finding resistance, which coincides. So I think it could be a relatively flat. It'll be a choppy day. Today's triple witching, or this week is triple witching options expiry, which means today is going to be, the whole week is going to be choppy and manipulated, and it's more or less wacky Wednesday for the markets. So there's going to be some serious action going on. Just whipsaw action, nothing that you can really take to the bank. So I'd be very careful trading this week, especially today. If we take a look at the SP 500, you can see here's a daily chart. I've got these two pink resistance lines drawn up here showing the previous high and also the high before that. So there's a little bit of a window here where we could see a spike into. We might actually see a pierce of that, but I have a feeling it'll get sold back down. Anyways, the S&P is grinding its way up. It's sitting right there at resistance. It's sitting on the 5-day moving average right now. It started to pull back. If we take a look at the, let's pull up the 60-minute chart here. Here's a 60-minute chart. You can see yesterday we had a nice push up in the morning to it. It touched it, reversed back down, did a couple side steps, drifted back up, touched that level, and then it just got crushed going into the close of the late afternoon with some big heavy selling. And through the night it's kind of drifted up, and now it's heading back down, and it's just broken yesterday's lows. It's sitting right there right now. So we might see some downward pressure today, and but I still think we're going to be choppy, and we could easily come back up and test these levels again as the market really tries to shake things up before options expire Friday. So that's what I see there. As for market internals, here's the NYSE advanced decline line. Pretty much we're trading right in the middle of the range, so there isn't really any real bias going on. There isn't any extreme levels, so there's not a lot going on there. As for the put call ratio, we are trading down into a very bullish area. A lot of people are buying calls right now, which is good because we're short and with a half position, and the market's trading at resistance. So we are positioned somewhat for that, but I really want to see some extreme levels to add the second half. That's really about it for now, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye bye.